Hey there. So, learning English, it can feel like you're lost, right? Like you've got this giant map, but no idea where to even start. It's just a lot. But what if I told you there's actually a clear, proven path to get you from hello to speaking confidently? Well, that's exactly what we're going to do today. We are laying out the roadmap to fluency.
All right, first things first, let's just admit it. Learning English can be super frustrating. I mean, the way we're often taught feels like it's just about memorizing an endless list of grammar rules, right? It's overwhelming, and let's be honest, it's not exactly fun.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure a lot of us can relate to this. You know, being forced to diagram sentences or chant verb tables over and over. It honestly does more to make you stressed out than to actually make you feel confident. It's a really common feeling, and it's exactly why we've got to find a better way to do this.
So, that's the big question, isn't it? If memorizing a bunch of rules isn't the answer, then what is? Well, the alternative is pretty simple, actually. It's about stopping that focus on little, isolated rules and instead starting to follow a clear, structured roadmap, one that's actually designed to get you communicating. See, instead of just a random pile of rules, what you really need is a framework. Something that shows you, okay, this is where I am right now, this is where I'm going, and here are the steps to get there. And lucky for us, there's a system for this that's used all over the world. Let's check it out.
Okay, so this right here is the Common European Framework of Reference for Languages. It's a bit of a mouthful, so most people just call it the CEFR, and it is the most widely recognized standard for figuring out your language ability. The best way to think about it is like a ladder. It's a series of clear, totally manageable steps that take you from A1, that's a total beginner, all the way up to C2, which is basically mastery. It kind of turns this huge marathon of learning the language into a bunch of smaller, totally achievable sprints.
So, the CEFR is basically broken down into three main levels. You've got basic user, independent user, and proficient user. And what's cool is that each level describes what you can actually do with the language. We're talking real world stuff like being able to introduce yourself at the A1 level or understanding really complex topics when you get to C1. So you see, it focuses on your actual ability, not just a list of things you've memorized. All right, so we've got our roadmap. Now, what about the tools? What are the essential things we need to pack for this journey? Let's break down some of the absolute must-know fundamentals of English. Think of these as the core building blocks of the language.
Okay, let's start with the absolute foundation, how you build a sentence. And you know what? At its core, English is surprisingly simple. Most of the time, sentences just follow this one pattern: subject, verb, object. You know, Bob likes Susan. She reads books. They play soccer. It's that simple. Once you really get this SVO pattern down, you've pretty much cracked the code for building clear, basic sentences. It's a huge win.
Next up, let's talk about nouns. In English, they basically fall into two big groups. You have your countable things, stuff you can actually count, like books or bottles, and then you have uncountable things, which are treated as one big whole, like water or sand. Now, this might seem like a small detail, but getting it right, like knowing you don't say three waters, is a massive step towards sounding way more natural. Now for verbs. Verbs are really the engine of your sentences, right? They're what give them action and tell you when things are happening. The three basic tenses, past, present, and future, these are your absolute essential tools for telling any kind of story. They're what tell us, hey, did this happen yesterday? Is it happening now? Or will it happen tomorrow? I went, I am going, I will go. Seriously, mastering these is the foundation for expressing pretty much any idea you can think of. All right, I'm going to let you in on a big secret, and this is something that trips up almost every single English learner. English spelling is, well, it's a mess. It's totally chaotic. The way a word is spelled often has nothing to do with how it's pronounced. And listen, this is not your fault. It's just a weird quirk of the language. So the most important thing to remember is this: you absolutely have to learn the sounds separately from the spelling. Okay, so we've got our roadmap and we've got our basic building blocks. But how do we actually get them into our brains in a way that works? Because let's face it, knowing the rules is one thing, but actually using them is a whole different ballgame. So now let's dive into the strategies that will actually make these concepts stick. And this right here is the absolute key. Language isn't some dry academic subject you study in a textbook. It's a tool. It's for connecting with people. And pretty much all modern teaching methods are built around this one big idea, something called communicative language teaching. The bottom line is, you learn by doing. You learn by interacting, by actually trying to get a real message across. So when it comes to building your vocabulary, here's a super practical technique that is proven to work. It's called look, say, cover, write, check. And it's awesome because it really forces your brain to get involved. You look at the word, you say it out loud, you cover it up, you write it from memory, and then you check to see if you got it right. This whole process forces something called active recall, and that creates way, way stronger memories than just, staring at a list of words.
So, how does all this stuff, the building blocks, the strategies, how does it actually come together in the real world? This is the fun part. This is where all that theory meets practice and where learning really starts to get exciting. I mean, just take a look at a super simple phrase like, "Hello, what's your name?" It seems so basic, right? But it's actually a perfect example of everything we're talking about. It uses that standard word order we mentioned. It needs specific vocabulary, hello, what, name, and its entire reason for existing is social interaction. This is a real-world task. This is the foundation of what communication is all about. So as we start to wrap things up here, it really helps to shift your perspective a little bit. Learning a language, it isn't a race with a finish line. It's more like a lifelong journey where your goal, communication, is always evolving and growing right along with you.
And look, we're right back where we started, with our roadmap. Every single conversation you have, every new word you learn, every tiny little success, it's all moving you one step further down this path. The goal isn't to magically jump from A1 to C2 overnight. No way. It's about celebrating the progress you make at every single stage. And if you take away only one thing from this, let it be this. Fluency is not about being perfect. It's about being understood. It's about making a connection with another human being. The moment you start to value communication more than perfection, that's when the fear of making mistakes just starts to melt away.
So now you've got the roadmap, you've got the tools. The only real question left is, what's the very next step on your journey going to be? Maybe it's learning 10 new words. Maybe it's trying out your very first simple conversation. Whatever it is, just remember, every single step forward is a win. Happy learning!